What's up, gamers? I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys lately about which system is better for you, and this conversation seems to center around three devices: the Anbernic RG35XX H, the TrimUI Smart Pro, and the Powkiddy RGB30. And so in this video, I'm going to show you three games running on three systems on all three handhelds and let you decide for yourself. Let's get into it. Our first game is going to be Wave Race on the Nintendo 64. And I chose this because it has a lot of physics effects and a lot of water effects that make it kind of harder to run. And this intro video is running in engine. It's not a pre-rendered cutscene. And so the same dips you're seeing and frame rate stutters you're seeing here are the same ones you would see in the game. I have all three of these devices set to performance mode to get the most out of them. And what you'll probably notice is that the RG35XX H looks the worst, but I also don't think it's been optimized yet to run N64 games. The TrimUI Smart Pro looks the best in terms of its frame rate, and even though I'm rooting for the H model here because it is the most pocketable of the three, this is essentially unplayable on this device right now. And that could change in the future. I think that this will become more optimized as we move forward, but it's just not there yet. In terms of color, I like the Powkiddy. I think the Powkiddy color looks the best. The blues are more blue, the reds are more red, the greens are more green, all of that stuff. It has the sharpest image, but it is dipping down to the mid-50s generally speaking in terms of its frame rate, whereas the TrimUI seems to stay at a more rock-solid 60 frames per second. Next up is Mario Kart DS on the Nintendo DS. This is also a really interesting one. I have a really big problem with the TrimUI with this one because I cannot figure out how to get into a match or switch the screens. I'm stuck on the top screen. I can't see the lower screen. I can't get it to switch. This is the biggest screen, so I'd like to say that this is the one that's the winner, but I can't even get the game to load on it. And I have tried and tried and tried. But even there, do you see the frame rate stuttering here? There's something going on here that's just not quite right. The Powkiddy RGB30 absolutely rock solid on this DS stuff. On most of the DS games that I've played, it is completely rock solid, Mario Kart included, and it's honestly a really fun time. And you can get those dual screens on here, and it looks pretty good. You try to get the dual screens on the H model, and man, look how much smaller that is compared to this. And this one I can't even get to switch to two screens. So for me, when it comes to Nintendo DS, I give this one to the RGB30. Look at that slowdown on the TrimUI. You can see that stuttering there. You don't see that over here. You don't see it over here. I'm actually really impressed with the H model on here too. I think that it does a really good job as well with the Nintendo DS stuff, but it doesn't seem quite as sharp as it does on the RGB30. Alright, the last game we're going to run is on PSP, and it's going to be God of War Chains of Olympus, and I have this running with the exact same settings in the emulator. And right off the bat, what you're going to notice is that yes, this is the biggest experience you can have right here. It's a nice big image on the TrimUI. The Anbernic here has it stretched to fill that 4:3 display, and again, the Powkiddy has the most colorful of all three of the experiences. But let's jump into a new game and see what happens. At the moment, they're all doing their very best to stay at that 100% speed mark. They've all dropped down to 30 frames per second. You can see they're hanging together pretty well, but I think that might change as the action gets started here. So for some reason, the Powkiddy jumps down to like 70% speed. It's in the 70% range right now. These other two are sticking with 100. The Powkiddy, for whatever reason, just will not keep up. And in order to get it to 100% speed, you basically have to cut the frame rate, turn the frame skip to 2, and then it does a pretty good job. But for some reason, no matter what I set it to, it will not stay at 100% speed. These two here are doing a pretty admirable job. They dip down to 98 every once in a while, but it's mostly right there at 100. Of course, now that I say that, I do see that the H model is dipping down into like the 70s, 80s, 80%, and so it might need the frame skip to be turned on as well. So I guess I'll do that so that you can see how this is affected. So the Powkiddy, even with some of this stuff turned on, some of the skip GPU readbacks turned on, the frame skipping is turned on, it still struggles to stay at 100%. It's playable, but it struggles. The Anbernic is now running at 10 frames per second, but it's getting a pretty solid 100%. But 10 frames doesn't look super great. So that leaves you with the TrimUI, which looks the best on this particular game. So like I said, this is not an easy answer. Which one's for me? Well, If you like Nintendo DS, I would say the Powkiddy is for you. If you like PSP, I would say the TrimUI might be for you. If you like portability and a little bit of both of those things and can sacrifice some of that performance, I'd say go with the Anbernic. But that's just my 2 cents worth. I've got links to all of these devices down in the description below. Thanks for supporting the channel by clicking on those. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but I am doing my best to bring you high quality content, and every like, affiliate link click, and subscription really helps out. Thanks for watching. Stay kind and encouraging out there, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.